Ring the bell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slam Society here. I'm California, one of your hosts. This is Juicy Boy. What's going on, bro?
Dude, not a lot. We are back here for another AEW review. It's been a hot minute since we've reviewed an AEW show. Take us through what we're going to be going over here.
Yeah, bro. This is the AEW Revolution review from March 3rd, 2024. Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, North Carolina, 16,878 people in attendance for the show that has Sting's final match in pro wrestling. Holy shit. Juice Boy, did you watch 0 Hour?
No.
No, you never did. That's okay. There were two matches on the 0 Hour. Did you know that one of them was a 12-man tag team match, Juicy Boy?
Interesting.
Yeah.
How was it?
Predictable. So it was like Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Private Party, Satnam Singh, and Willie Mack against the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Mm-hmm.
You knew Jarrett's team was going to lose.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say in regards to this, and I'm not trying to come out too negative out of the gate here, but AEW, like, they do this thing where they have certain acts on the roster, but it's like you don't know what month it is because nothing changes. Orange Kassidy with the little kicks, the Scissor Me Daddy shit, everyone's singing Jericho's theme song. The best friends are still together. The Dark Order are still hanging on. Daniel Garcia and his stupid dance. Things like that. They just seem to just hold on to these things for a little bit too long, and it gets really old. I'm starting to get a little bit tiresome of the Scissor Me Daddy, and I was always tired of it. Let's be honest. I never liked it.
It will always be funny though. Let's acknowledge though, it will never not be funny hearing Billy Gunn be like, "Scissor me, daddy, scissor me, daddy," with that accent.
Yeah, of course, bro. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about the pre-show, but this again with Excalibur, dude. One of the guys from Private Party hit a Swanton bomb, and he called it a Senton Atomico. Fuck up, bro. That's such a nerd.
But that's not even accurate though, because a Senton Atomico is specifically a rolling senton like Eddie Guerrero used to do over that rope.
Yeah, and this guy
like it's a different move, Excalibur. Get it right.
Anyway, Jay White hit the Blade Runner to win in 12 minutes 25 seconds because this match definitely needed 12 minutes. Nothing else really to declare except the main event of the 0 Hour was a tag team match. Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale against Julia Hart and Skye Blue. So this is like Tony throwing a bone to the ladies and getting them on the pre-show because there's only going to be one ladies match on the pay-per-view. Let's see through my notes here. Is anything here important for me to say? By the way, the pre-show is 90 minutes long. 90 minutes. Why is everything going to be so long with this company, Juicy Boy? All I'm going to say about the match is it was very messy. The referee was doing nothing about the non-tags. Like, Julia was being attempted to be suplexed by Willow. Skye Blue just walked into the ring and stopped her from being suplexed. And I'm like, and then Kris Statlander just got in the ring. And the referee's doing nothing about it. It's a big problem with this company. Huge.
We're still in the pre-show, folks.
Yep.
We're still discussing the pre-show.
Anyway, let's get to the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I liked the package for Sting. Glad that they got some old footage from New Japan of him. Very nice. First match, though, Juicy Boy, on this 4-hour pay-per-view. AEW TNT Championship on the line. Christian Cage defending against Daniel Garcia. What are your thoughts, bro?
All right. Let me tell you this, bro.
Yep.
Chris, this match was a good little match because of Christian Cage's level of professionalism and experience. And I'm not saying that to take away from Daniel Garcia, because even though I don't really care for the gimmick with the pants and the dancing and stuff, I appreciate the fact that he, as an individual, Daniel Garcia, like, I feel like he's trying. He's trying to do so. He's trying to show a little bit more something and do something with this little extra opportunity he's been given. And I felt like the whole thing with Nick Wayne and Killswitch and Mother, it's all over. It's over. It's too much. It's too what's the word? It's cluttered, man. It's too cluttered whenever that act is on the show. And I actually think that the act on the outside accompanying Christian actually took away a little bit from the match rather than added to it. I like the fact that Adam Copeland didn't show up yet here, because I think a lot of people were probably expecting that. I like the fact that Christian did not lose the belt, because I was worried for a bit that Garcia was going to take home the belt. I think it was the right decision not to do it yet. I actually thought that this was, like, at this point in the show when I was watching it, I was glad that this opened the show, and I was pleased with the result. I'm going to go ahead and give this match a B-, because I think that this really did well in terms of it's been booked as the opening match. It's for a championship, and they worked the match accordingly. I feel like this really, it didn't overdo it for what it was supposed to be. It was just right.
Very good, bro. Christian's just he's a classic at this point. He makes me laugh with his antics. The simple thing like faking an ankle injury and using that to bait Garcia in to get an eye gouge or whatever. It's stuff like that is so simple, and it always gets a big reaction, especially when it's done correctly. It just shows some of the most simple things you could do in pro wrestling work more than the same old kind of shit that people hang their hat on, like dives and all that, to try and get their match over. There was another portion of the match that I found very entertaining. Garcia kept trying to get in the ring, and Christian kept on sending him back out to the floor or into the ring post, snapping Daniel Garcia's head back on the rope.
Yeah.
It was great. And then finally Garcia figured out a way to get in the ring. One thing I wasn't too chuffed with was Daddy Magic charging out. And he's battering Killswitch around, and I'm supposed to believe that he can be brawling with Killswitch to the back. Like, come on, that's unrealistic. I get that he's a partner of Garcia, but good near fall with the pile driver, very nice. I did like the finish though, with it just being a little bit too much for Garcia there with all the interference and distractions. So once again, Christian proving that he is one of the top acts in AEW. And you know what? I'll give Daniel a bit of props too. Let's move forward, Juicy Boy.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, this AEW Continental title. You know how I feel about this Triple Crown. Kingston taking on Danielson here. I want this thing with Kingston and the Blackpool Combat Club. I'd like that to finally be over now. I'm really hoping that it's over with now and he can go do something different. This has been going on for a little too long. The match is dedicated to somebody I've never heard of. I can't remember the guy's name. But this is one of the things about AEW, and I'm not trying to pick on them for the sake of it. I'm just saying this is why it's niche. It doesn't reach casual fans because they expect everybody to know what everything is. I don't know the guy that they're talking about who's a Japanese wrestler that's Eddie Kingston's hero. I don't know anything about him. But if you're going to mention him or talk about him, you have to always think about the fact that they're going to be wrestling fans that might be checking this out because they're seeing Sting's last match. They got the pay-per-view. People need context. You need to give us a little bit, Excalibur. Tell us something about the guy that is Eddie Kingston's hero. You know, every single time that you show or have a show on a scale like this, I think it's important that you have to pretend that there's going to be lots of people seeing it for the first time. So you need to explain everything to everyone. That's just one little nitpick, I guess I would say. Geez. Oh, God. Sometimes I really worry about Danielson. Just like suplexed Eddie Kingston off the ring apron onto the floor. Like, far out, bro. The fans, they're just conditioned to chant, "This is awesome, dude." Like, nothing had happened yet, really. And they were chanting, "This is awesome." I'm like,
yeah,
you guys just do the same thing every time just because you're just programmed into thinking that this is what I have to do. Like, the wrestling fans have become a parody of themselves, bro.
It's almost like they sit there and they deliberately try and force it as much as possible so that anyone that might be watching is going to think it's more exciting.
By the way, Eddie Kingston hit a suplex, but apparently that was a Northern Lights bomb. Kingston no sells a suplex. Then Danielson gets hit, and he sells it. And then the fans stood up and applauded. I didn't really understand what was going on there. Kingston then just wins with a powerbomb. I thought it was a little anticlimactic. The match wasn't bad. We get the handshake, and you got to give Eddie Kingston credit. The fans do really adore him. What did you think of this match, bro?
Okay, my thoughts will be pretty succinct. I'm giving the match a C+. Some people may think that's a little low. I really enjoyed the match whenever they sold. Whenever they did not sell, it took me out of it. And it felt contrived. And I think as far as the match overall, I think Eddie Kingston really rose to the occasion. That's what's special about him. He's kind of like that Mick Foley type talent that he will rise to that occasion. I think it was a little long in the tooth with all the Japanese influence and as I said, the no selling. That was all a bit much. That's why it's not rated higher, especially considering just how many matches are going to be on the card still to come.
That's the thing about AEW, bro. It's like they I know some people out there seem to not have a problem with it, but I feel like they burn you out.
Yeah.
Because they do too much. Like, it's okay to start off slowly and you know, slowly get to that, you know, crescendo at the end of the show, the big pop of the night. But like when it's just constant, these matches are that they take each other to their limit and they're kicking out of finishes and they're no selling things. Don't you think it's just a bit much and it burns out the fans? Anyway, let's move forward, bro. AEW World Title Number 1 Contendership All-Star 8-Man Scramble match.
All right.
Chris Jericho, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Magnus, Wardlow, Dante Martin, and Hook. What did you think, bro?
Okay, so this match had by far the most potential to be absolutely fucking dreadful. Okay? As soon as I saw that this match was happening and the participants in it, I was like, oh no. You could have taken Magnus and Dante Martin out of this match, and I don't think it really would have made a difference. I think that they could have just done with Jericho and the big guys if they were going to do this type of match. I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't a complete clusterfuck. I think they actually did a good job of giving each person in the match their little moment to look good. The big problem I had with it, though, was it just felt so unnecessary. And it also felt like it was so obvious that everyone that wasn't involved in the current spot was just on the outside selling. And it was obvious in a way that was more distracting than perhaps you might see in other multi-man matches. I personally felt like every time they do a wide shot, I can see somebody else in the match just laying on the outside, waiting for their next chance to be involved. I'm gonna give the match a C minus. It was possible. It probably exceeded my very low expectations, but I still think it just didn't even need to be on the show, bro. It just feels like it was something to give these guys something to do.
Yeah. Again, I've mentioned this in a lot of AEW pay-per-view reviews. It's the shoehorning that Tony does. He shoehorns as many people as he possibly can onto these shows, which is why we usually have a lot of multi-man matches. So yeah, I wasn't like too chuffed about this one going into it. It wasn't that bad, but I just think like we know the purpose of this match is just to do some bullshit. That's pretty much it. Magnus, nothing against him, never heard of him before though. I'm like, why is he in this? Jake Roberts is out there, man. He's looking frail. I don't know if they should be taking him or having him go out there anymore. I don't know. Just it's not something that I don't want to see it. You know, I don't want to see how old people are.
Well, every time they cut to him, it's kind of like, he should be sitting in an armchair somewhere just enjoying the show, like, because they're not really doing anything with him either.
I just don't know what the purpose of him being Lance Archer's manager is anymore, because like they don't do anything with Lance Archer. Jake never cuts promos. Like I just don't know what the point is anymore. Anyway, okay, right. What is going on with Wardlow's hair? It looked like, the episode of Seinfeld where the water pressure was all messed up and Jerry Kramer and Newman's hair all looked terrible. Yeah, Wardlow's hair looks terrible at the moment. I don't know what he's thinking, but when I looked at it, I'm like, am I the only one seeing this? This doesn't look right.
I'm not Wardlow.
Have you noticed that the passion of the fans singing Chris Jericho's theme has started to dwindle?
Well,
they still do it.
So.
They still do it, but like I just feel like the energy's not there. Like they're still doing it because they're conditioned. Well, we're at an AEW show. We have to sing Chris Jericho's theme song, but we don't really like him anymore because someone said something about him a little while ago on Twitter. Just a bit weird how they act. Anyway, so yeah, I noticed that thing that you said before as well, where like that there's people just waiting on the outside of the ring. So all the little dudes get thrown out at the beginning, and then the fans chanted "meat." Didn't realize Sean Stasiak was in such demand, bro. So they all start posing one after another instead of trying to win. And all the little dudes are on the outside waiting for their next spot. There was no way they were all still down after the first spot, but whatever. Lance Archer. Wow, I'm so negative, bro. My notes are so negative. It's like, oh my God. Lance Archer needs to stop that top rope moonsault thing.
Ugh.
Because he never hits the guy. He never hits. He might slightly graze them, but no one is ever catching him. All the coincidental dives one after another. I thought Dante Martin was all over the place in this one. I thought he did not perform well here. And I do not believe that Hook could choke Wardlow out. Wardlow pins Dante. Let's move forward, bro.
Yeah.
AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, good God, you have to be joking me. I have to sit through this. It actually wasn't too bad, okay? I'll give him props. It wasn't too bad. The gut-wrench powerbomb to the top rope. Fucking dangerous. I like the psychology of this being Roderick was just torturing Orange Cassidy this whole match. I was hoping for a title change as well. So Strong kicked out of a Panama Sunrise. Don't know if you should do that, but knee strike to the head, an orange punch, and then another knee to the head or something like that, and they're still kicking out. I like the match. Roderick got the win. New champ. Kyle O'Reilly showed up afterward, hugged Roddy. They handed him a shirt. Then he gave it back and he walked off. And then he looked like a boy who can't find his mum on the entranceway.
He's a lone wolf.
Like he's all teary-eyed. I didn't really understand what was going on, but what did you think of Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this match a B-. I really enjoyed it because Roderick Strong just fucking kicked the shit out of Orange Cassidy. And every time Orange Cassidy tried to do his stupid, annoying, lazy guy thing, Roderick Strong just fucking fucked him up. And just this is how you use Roderick Strong, right? Roderick Strong as a talent has been criminally misused, probably actually since he was in WWE, like ever since he came off the Indies. Because I used to be an avid follower of his on the Indies, and all of his matches would focus on, usually it would be the opponent's torso or their back, and he would pick apart that body part that he was working on relentlessly. So even though he was small, it was like, it doesn't matter how small he is because he can do all this ruthlessly painful shit, focusing on that area. And that is exactly the kind of match he wrestled here against Orange Cassidy. I feel like Roderick Strong was in his element here. I feel as though Orange Cassidy showed why, because Orange Cassidy is someone I followed as well before he was ever Orange Cassidy, and I liked him on the Indies. I don't really like the gimmick he does now as Orange Cassidy, but this was an example of what he can actually do in a match physically and why he's considered talented by a lot of people. So I thought this was pretty good. It went on a little bit too long, and I do believe Orange kicked out of something at 1. And there was a couple of instances of people kicking out of something at 1. And I'm going to say it here because I don't want to hop on it when we get to the main event. If you're going to have Sting kick out of something at 1 in the main event, don't do it at all for the rest of the show.
Yep.
Let alone on 2 or 3 separate occasions before the main event. All right, that's my take on that. That's it. I thought it was a good match. Glad we got a title change as well. Sick of Orange Cassidy having that fucking title.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. Ever since, I'm telling you, I've said it before, ever since that Omega Ospreay match where they did the thing where Omega kicked out at 1 after he was hit with his own finisher, ever since then, I'm like, that's going to become a thing now. Everyone's going to be looking for that pop that they got from that kick out. And now it's happening all over the place. I watched some local wrestling the other week, saw it happen there. It's just enough already, man. Like, stop overdoing it. Anyway, let's get to the next match, bro. Tag team match. FTR, Wheeler and Harwood against the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio and Moxley. What did you think of this one, bro?
Great, lad. I'm going to go ahead and give the match a C-. I messaged you about it earlier, I think before you'd watched it, that I said basically 3 out of 4 people in this match wrestled a really good match. And then whenever Moxley came in, it was like, and I'm not saying this just to shit on Moxley, it was like the entire complexion of the match shifted to become a Moxley match whenever he was in the ring. So it was very crisp and clean and very sort of technical, and I felt like it was very reminiscent of old school Ring of Honor, what FTR and Claudio were doing. And then the work that Moxley was doing, I felt like it almost felt like he was painting a different picture from what the other members of the match were painting. Like, I'm being very serious, bro. Like,
sorry, bro, my nipple keeps showing.
Like, it really felt,
keep going, man.
It really just felt as though Moxley was out of step with what everyone else was doing. I think that the work FTR did, they're just so crisp in the ring. And I think Cesaro as well. I keep calling him that, Claudio Castagnoli. I think he as well showed why he continues to be a tremendous talent. It's a shame that they don't have anything more for him to do, because he's kind of, by messing around in a tag team, he's kind of doing what he did in WWE for all those years, just going between different teams. So I thought it was a good match. I don't know what's going on with Moxley. I'm not shitting on him. I genuinely feel like his matches are getting worse. And I'm a fan of different deathmatch style wrestlers and stuff. So it's not that I don't get that style. I don't get what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't get it either, bro. I've really become anti Moxley for like the longest time now. I don't enjoy his work. I like, honestly, when I looked at him, and I feel bad saying stuff like this, but he looks like a bag of shit, doesn't he? He looks like shit at the moment.
His complexion.
Yeah, he needs like a bit of a tan. He looks gray. He doesn't even look like he's got like pink skin. He looks gray. Like, I don't know what it is. If he's not looking after himself properly, I don't know. Anyway, you know the spot. I want to ask you this question. You know the spot where they trade strikes and they let one another hit each other?
Yeah.
What does that do for anyone? What does it do for a match? What does it do for the psychology?
Yeah. Every time they would do it, I just was like, okay, I'm checked out of this moment because of that.
Because
That's
when
what
it
it
happens,
was like.
yeah, I fast forward until I fast forward until it's over and done with, and we get on with the fucking match. You know, I don't know why. What do they think that they're proving by having this fake tough guy thing? You know,
I don't know.
Anyway, okay, I don't know what part of the match this, if it was in the middle or toward the end. There was this one stage Moxley charged at one of the guys from FTR and like tackled him through the second rope to the outside, and it just looked like shit. It just looked like shit. You know, Moxley brawling in the crowd. I'm like, why are they fighting the crowd? Moxley's constantly biting the guy in the head. Like, we get it, dude. Okay, fucking come on.
Yeah.
Why does every match have to have 15 near falls, Juicy Boy? Like, God, it's tiring. I thought the match should have ended with the Shadow Machine, but obviously they weren't going over. So we got a very uninspired finish, I felt, with the double sleeper hold. Okay.
Yeah, again, like making them submit, like they're theoretically the best tag team in the company. So the Blackpool, it just doesn't make any sense. All right, let's continue on.
Let's move forward. Yeah, bro. AEW Women's World Title match. Tony Storm with Luther and Mariah May against Deonna Purrazzo. Juicy Boy. Is it my turn or your turn?
I think it's your turn.
I think it's my turn. Okay. I didn't write much here. The ladies get thrown their one bone on the pay-per-view here. I thought the match was a little slow and stuck in the mud early on. I feel like the AEW audience does not want to cheer Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know why. I just feel like that they weren't behind her. Didn't really have much else written here for this, sorry. I did think that Mariah dressed as the old Tony Storm was kind of cool. And then Tony won with a pile driver after the interference. I think Tony is terrific and she's killing it right now with her character. Juicy Boy, what did you think of this matchup?
Yeah, C minus. I think Deonna Purrazzo is actually like a really, really good talent. And I think the problem is that she's come into AEW. Every talent that comes into AEW is a drop in the bucket because they signed so many people. When she was in Impact / TNA, it felt like, wow, this is a major league women's star that's on the rise, and she needs to be in WWE post haste. I feel as though, all right, she's come to AEW. It's supposed to be the big time, even if it's not the WWE. And the steam's just not behind her like it should be, and I think the match suffered from that. I think Mariah May coming out as the old version of Toni Storm is fucking stupid. It was never hang on. It was never explained why it was done. It was never explained what the purpose of it was for, either in kayfabe or not. It doesn't have any tangential connection to the character she's doing right now. It was never mentioned or referenced again in the course of the match. It's just ridiculous. To be honest with you, I think that the act is better with just Luther, because with Luther as kind of the butler manservant, it really feels like a true golden age starlet with her assistant. Now this Mariah May thing, it's like now you've got the crazy stalker or whatever. Like, no, if Mariah May is going to be the understudy, then she needs to be trying to do what Toni Storm is doing. And she needs to be trying to do that same vibe. Okay? So that didn't work for me. That didn't work for me, brother. But I thought the match was solid itself. I think both ladies, like both performers, are just great. It's just that they suffered from their positioning on the card as well, bro.
Yeah, good point. Very good point, bro. Right, well, let's move forward. Singles match. Takeshita taking on Will Ospreay. Take it away, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and actually handicap the match a little bit. I would have rated this match probably maybe an A-, maybe a B+, had there not been so many moments of pulling me out of it.
Yep.
As it is, though, because those moments were in there, C+. They're gonna be people watching. They're gonna be like, "Oh, crazy! Like, how can you do? You're just crapping on AEW." No, I'm not. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Konosuke Takeshita's performance. Okay, I thought that it was fantastic. I can see why people sing his praises. He looked serious. He looked like an athlete. It looked like someone that you'd face off in, like, you know, a kickboxing movie or something like that. You know, the guy looks like a Japanese movie star. You know, the guy has that quality, and he doesn't rely on a silly haircut or being silly or trying to be funny. He's just a good, solid wrestler. And people kept on saying on Twitter, oh, Will Ospreay, he carried Takeshita to such a great match. It's the best match. Hang on, let me just get through it, bro. You have your time. I think Ospreay showed why he's a great talent as well. I think he did a good job in this match. I liked some of the bumps that he took. The brainbuster onto the turnbuckles, obviously insane. I did not like the kicking out at one. I did not like the fact that there were 5 near falls where it was 2 3/4. It suffered from that syndrome of, you know, doing too much, right? Like, less is more, you know. If you took, say, 3 or 4 of those near fall moves out of the match and you just had the brainbuster in the turnbuckle and a couple of other things, you would have had just a match of the year contender from AEW here. Because I do think it was absolutely what a show of smoothness and athleticism, and everything looked physical and it looked like it hurt. It had that quality, which I'm going to dub the Rob Van Dam quality of a match, which is when you're watching it, even when they're doing spectacular or pretty things in the match, you still think, I wouldn't be able to survive doing that or having that done to me. You think that would fucking hurt. So once again, if it wasn't for the moments where they just decided to stop selling, even though they've already had 20 minutes of brutal warfare back and forth, then this would have been my match of the show by far. I would have been giving it an A. I would have been raving about it because I actually really enjoyed this match for the most part. But those times where they decided not to sell, I've learned better than to criticize people that are into that, even if I don't agree with it. But it's not my preference. I think it took me out of it. And so I feel like I can't give the match a full-on A-grade rating for that reason.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Like this is a good example of a match that's been booked because the booker wants to see them hit their moves on one another. So like I wasn't interested in it because I didn't feel like there was any heat. Not every match needs to have heat or a storyline. Well,
most of them do though.
Yeah.
If none of them do, then you got a problem. Not every match needs to have heat. Some of them do.
Yeah. I'm sick of seeing people run away from somebody who's standing in the middle of the ring. They turn and they run. Fucking hell.
Remember at training, bro, you get taught not to turn your back. You get taught to actually step back.
Such a habit with wrestlers these days. They trade strikes. I fast forward. I did like the Oz cutter being reversed into the Blue Thunder Bomb. That was excellent. I thought Takeshita was fantastic here, and anyone thinking that Ospreay carried him, fuck up, mate. Like,
yeah, man, this was two wrestlers having a good match, not just
they're
one.
very good. They're very good. Again, the fans are showing to me that they seriously have become a parody of themselves. Fight forever. That suplex, man, come on. The one onto the turnbuckle. Like, you could have been killed, bro. Someone's going to
just I think it was just a botch, bro. I think it was just meant to be a turnbuckle
suplex. Yeah. But man, it's just someone is going to get really hurt one day, and everyone's going to feel bad for constantly wanting the wrestlers to up the ante.
Jesus Christ. Just when you said that, bro, I started thinking what's going to happen when they do Will Ospreay versus Darby Allin.
No.
Nobody's there.
Far out. Yeah, look, I was really enjoying the match, but as soon as he kicked out at 1, I'm like, that's it. Not interested.
Yeah, man. I was immediately just like, I was into it. It was going on. Then he kicked out at 1. I was like,
nah. That's it. It's over. I fast forwarded to the final spot of the match, and
like
I know
this,
it wasn't
bro,
far off, but
like this, like
I literally fast forwarded it until the end after I saw that. I'm like, no, that's it. You've ruined it for me. If you keep doing that shit, I'm going to keep fast forwarding it to the end of the match. So, but they'll keep doing it, and that's fine. But I'm not going to watch the rest of the match after I see someone kick out at 1 after being hit with everything under the sun. It's just no. Okay, let's move forward, bro. AEW World Championship on the line. Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, Swerve Strickland. I guess it's my turn to go first. God, I have a hard time remembering this shit. They had these dancer ladies come out with Swerve. Yeah. They didn't even shoot them. Like, he was in the camera shot the whole time. Like, don't tell me you paid money to have them like learn a dance routine, come over to the show, not to shoot them. It's weird. Production does do some weird things. In AEW. I thought Swerve stood out for me in this one, but the leg clapping, gotta stop, bro. Or at least just pull back on it a little bit, or stop being as obvious with it. I didn't feel very interested in this. I guess it's the same thing when we're reviewing World's End, bro. I felt like nothing about the product is interesting to me. And there's none of the stories or angles going to any of this stuff is piquing any of my interest. I'm just looking up and down the card. Nothing is piquing my interest. Nothing makes me care. And I feel bad that it is that way, but it's just the way I am. I don't know what it is about the product that I just can't get into it just because it's just good wrestling matches that go between, 12 and 22 minutes, which is pretty much every match.
I reckon it's pretty simple, man. I reckon the answer is one word, and it's inconsistency, bro. No matter what type of wrestling any particular fan may prefer, whether it be the modern stuff, whether it be hardcore, whether it be storyline based, whatever. AEW is not consistent week to week, month to month on any particular style. They seem to just change like the seasons, just on whatever mood Tony's in, or whatever mood the consensus of the promotion is in. That seems to be where they go. And it seems like when the audience starts up a new meme or latch onto something in AEW, AEW seems to like leap head first into running with that. It's almost the opposite problem of what WWE used to have, where WWE would take too long to catch on to something that the audience was getting excited about. Whereas AEW, it's good that they catch on, and it's great that they acknowledge that fan service. That's obviously why they have that loyal fan base. However, it's almost too much. They go full ball with it. I think, the inconsistency, man. Like this pay-per-view, they're going full ball with this stuff, but we didn't hear anything about the devil or any of that storyline, or it was like that didn't exist. So this month, it's been all about Sting retiring and all that shit, and the Bucks, and everything that was just going on with MJF and the devil, and that was not even mentioned hardly.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? That was made to be such a big deal, and it feels like it doesn't mean anything at the moment, this undisputed, whatever it's called, kingdom. Cole came out with Wardlow earlier in the show, and like that was the big storyline, and now it's like, it's just another stable. And there's no follow-up with the MJF thing. I'm sure he's having some time off, but come on.
Yeah, I think he is, but the point is they set up Adam Cole as the devil, and he's supposed to have his little group, and it's just not working, man.
Nah.
But whether we think it's working or not, my point is that it might as well not even exist.
Yeah.
As far as anyone watching this show is concerned.
It has no effect on the lay of the land in AEW whatsoever. Yeah. Where the whole build-up, it was a big problem for the company. They were attacking this person and that person and all that. And it now just there's no effect whatsoever, whereas before it was having a major effect. Like, come on, be consistent. You're right. There is the lack of consistency. Anyway, whatever. Hangman tapped out. And Joe retained the belt.
Sorry, I forgot we were even talking about that. All right. Okay. I'll throw in my thoughts and we'll move on. I'm giving the match a C-. By the time it came on, and it's no fault of anyone in the match, I was suffering from a bit of burnout, especially after that Takeshita and Ospreay match, which I thought was, really quite spectacular at different times.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's hard to then get motivated for this championship match that kind of feels slotted in there, because you sort of feel like, wow, you just saw your spectacle with the Takeshita and Ospreay match, and you're about to have your feel good and your emotion and your passion. That's about to happen in Sting's retirement match, which we know is the main event. So it's difficult to kind of get really in the zone to enjoy this match, at least for me as a fan personally. And I got to say this to you, bro. I really think that Samoa Joe himself is a great champion. I like the way he carries himself. I like the fact that the belt is on him, because if nothing else, AEW in MJF and CM Punk and Samoa Joe, they've had credible champions, right? Yeah. I believe that Samoa Joe could kick most everybody's ass on the roster in AEW. So I like that. I think that Swerve, I definitely started to see why Swerve has that magnetism around him and that support that he has, because I like the way that he you know what, I'm not making a direct comparison, but when I first went back for the first time as a wrestling fan and I watched Shawn Michaels' pay-per-view match run of 1996, and I remember I went back and I'd watch like one a week, and Michaels would be in the main event each pay-per-view against somebody else. And every time I'd watch one of those matches, bro, I'd be amazed at least once or twice by how he would transition into a move, or how he would figure out a way to work his opponent into this position so that this could happen. I remember in particular in your house, Beware of Dog, being very impressed at the way that Shawn Michaels was able to have a match with this powerhouse Davey Boy Smith and continually do this kind of like fancy footwork and innovative things to use his speed and quickness. And I bring that up because I feel as though you've got a bit of that element with Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland. I feel very strongly that them two working together, I like Swerve against a bigger opponent. I think that he works well against a bigger sized opponent. I think that Samoa Joe, with the experience and the just frankly the ability that he has in the ring, is a great major opponent for Swerve Strickland, especially at this point when he's starting to get really over. And I think that the work between those two is really good. And I think that Hangman Page, for his part, I think that he held up his end of the bargain. Like, he was in the match, he had his part in the match. I felt like he performed it fine. And there's going to be some haters maybe out there. I feel as though Hangman wasn't needed in the match, bro. I don't know how you feel. I don't know where you're going to stand on that, bro. But the whole time I just feel like whenever it's Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland in there going back and forth, I feel like I'm watching a title match. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Man, the Swerve is really something, you know? And then whenever Hangman came in, I was like, okay, he's not doing bad, but there's no title match aura. You know, there's none of that vibe. You know, because I'm trying not to be as negative. I don't want to shit on a Hangman Page. He was put into this match, you know, like I said, I feel as though he did his best. But I feel as though the AEW world title scene and this match solidified it for me. It's past Hangman Page by for the time being. The world title scene right now for me in AEW, it feels like it's all about Samoa Joe and guys like Swerve, you know, and maybe other guys like Eddie Kingston coming in there sometime in the future. And it doesn't feel to me like Hangman fits in that circle of guys that are vying for that world championship. Maybe it's time for him to sort of go off and do something else. So yeah, the match was what it was. Props to everyone involved. But again, I think just a singles match between Joe and Swerve would have probably been the ticket.
I agree. Yeah, you're right with Hangman. It didn't have a big fight feel to me, this one. It didn't feel like these are the three best wrestlers in the world vying for the world championship. It just felt like Hangman was getting in the way almost. Yeah, it's time for him to do something else. I feel he's a little stale, even with the heel turn. But one thing, I think it must have been a little while ago, I got to a little bit of a bickering session on Twitter with somebody because I said something about like this match should just be Joe versus Swerve. And then the person was like, but no, like you can't have Swerve get beat yet. Like, why not? You can't have Joe beat Swerve like at his first shot at the world title, because like what's that going to do for Swerve? It's like it's going to make him like look like he's not really a contender for the world title. He's not good enough, and it's just like it's not like people can lose and then later on down the line get another shot at the belt and then maybe lose again. And then maybe the third time they go for it. I don't know, but people can lose a match these days, right?
I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like, first of all, there is absolutely no shame in losing a match if it's to the fucking world champion. And I know I shouldn't be swearing because it's going to cause problems with the ads, but whatevs, right? The NWA champion, the time-honored formula for years, man, from 1948 up until circa 1981, around about there. The NWA champion would be decided on by the committee. They'd go around. They'd face the top guy in that territory. They would do a dusty finish sometimes where it would seem like the territory guy has won the belt, but it would get overturned on a technicality. Yeah. But very often, the hometown guy would just lose to the champion because it's the champion. It's the best, not only in the territory, not only in the country, but it's the best in the world because the NWA champion also goes to Germany and Japan and Australia and other countries like that. So this idea that it makes somebody look weak to take a loss and that someone is the against the world champion, that's just ridiculous. That's out of hand. I'm just dismissing that. Second of all, losing in general, that's what happens when you're an athlete. You know,
Yeah.
LeBron James has not won every single game that he's ever played in, right? Sometimes the team didn't win, you know.
Yeah, it's just a bit weird. This whole thought process that someone can't lose one match to the world champion because that's going to discredit them in future thoughts in the minds of wrestling fans to be a contender again. Just bit weird. Like, imagine Takeshita beat Ospreay.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine? You can't have Ospreay lose his first pay-per-view match since signing with the company. Yeah, you can.
Like, why? There'd be no shame in either of them losing the match because it was such a competitive match.
It would it tell an interesting story? Ospreay comes in and he's got all this hype behind him, but then shit, he loses out the gate. He's got to up the ante here. Like, that makes things a bit more interesting than just we know he's going to win because it's his first pay-per-view match. Like,
I was kind of hoping that Takeshita would sneak one over on him because
be a bit interesting.
I didn't think it wouldn't make Ospreay look weak. We know that Ospreay is really good and all that shit. So, all right, let's not get the person on Twitter's a fuckhead, dude. Twitter's not healthy.
I'm gonna get off that fucking thing. All right, let's get to the main event here, Juicy Boy. AEW World Tag Team titles on the line here. Tornado Tag Team match. Darby Allin and Sting defending against the Young Bucks. What did you think, bro, of Sting's final match?
I think it's your turn. So
is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you just go.
All right. Okay. So Flair comes out, gets his own entrance. Did you notice that they listed him as a 21-time world champion? Like, why are they recognizing the extra title reigns that weren't actually officially counted? Why are they doing that? I don't get it.
Oh man, because it's a Tony Khan thing. Oh well, technically he also won this belt and that belt, so it should be counted.
Oh god, bro, it's funny.
What? That's probably what
yeah, maybe it's like because John Cena's a 16-time world champion, so we're gonna be like, well, he's actually a 21-time world champion. We've got him, so yeah. It's probably not like that at all, but anyway. Great seeing Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, and Scotty Riggs. Riggs looking in fantastic shape. Chuffed for Sting's theme song, Seek and Destroy. Great stuff. That's the nostalgia I'm looking for. I really thought it was sweet that his sons came out dressed as the old versions of him. At first, I actually thought he was the one that came out in the USA colors.
So
that was really a nice little touch. Okay, so the match. I really enjoyed a lot of it, even though, let's be honest, a lot of this match did not make any sense at all.
No.
The psychology did not make any sense to me at all, but that's okay. I'll let this slide because it's Sting's final match, and I guess he wanted to do some high risk stuff in this matchup because it's his last outing there. I thought the panes of glass were a little much, but that's just me. Cool spots with the people getting suplexed off the stage through tables, very cool. But the dive, the big one that Darby did. My God, bro, off the top of the ladder, over the ropes to the outside, onto the chairs with the pane of glass on top of it. It's just like, man, like, remember when he did the coffin drop onto the coffin and we were like, oh God, like he's doing it again. Like, how is he still walking? I don't get it. he has to be in pain, bro.
I think he probably just ragdolls and just lets it happen, and he's just one of those weirdos that just it will catch up to him eventually. But I think
surely.
in terms of how he actually mentally does it, I think it's probably the same as a skateboarder, bro. You know that pain is going to be there, but you still do it.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. But that spot itself, that made no sense at all. Like, why would anyway? Because when you think about it, if you put a pane of glass onto a bunch of chairs, why would you lay someone on top of them and then jump on them? Wouldn't you want to like hit a move onto it, not jump? It's to me that wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, Sting got put through another table. This old dude is. I'm so proud of him. So proud of him. Loved the parts of the old boys were getting in there. Especially Steamboat getting super kicked off the ring apron. That really made me laugh.
And he sold it well as well. Like it was just like he never does anything that doesn't look sick. Even when because you know how I'm a mark for Ricky Steamboat, man. And literally, I always laugh at it because even if all he does is throw a chop, it's like the best looking chop on the show. You know, like because he's just so good with everything he does. Like,
you're right, bro. Anytime he did anything, it was great. But Flair got in the ring to cover up Sting because he was copping it sweet from the Young Bucks. Like they didn't shoot it properly. I needed to see Rick's face. Instead, I was getting the back of his head, which is clearly he's balding. Yeah. Like I wanted you need the shot. Yeah. Get the shot, bro.
Because you could tell from his voice he was doing, I popped for it. I like a little bit of Ric Flair. I could hear him going like, no, it's enough. So you can picture what kind of face he probably had because Flair always tries to do business, So I feel the same, bro. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. Anyway, the Bucks took way too long to super kick him.
Yes.
Way too long. I don't know what sometimes these younger guys, they get the timing of things wrong. Like earlier, Hangman had to pull a referee out the ring because of a pin attempt.
Joe had to kick out.
Yeah, he had to kick out. And I'm like, fuck, what are you doing, bro? Like fucking hell. Anyway, it was obvious to me Sting had to win this one. I was really worried that they were going to do a title switch and Sting would be like, no, I should go out on my back or whatever. I was really glad that he won. I think my favorite spot of the match, though, Nick Jackson was on the top rope and Darby just like shoved him off and way he went through the table. I was like, oh, shit. There was the death drop, and then a coffin drop, and then one final Scorpion deathlock. And there we have it. The Sting and Darby retain in his last match. And I would say this also, it made me a bit sad after the match, knowing that not many of my favorites from back in the day are still going, except for like Edge and Christian, etc. But anywho, bro, there's my thoughts on the main event. What did you think?
Yeah, well, I thought it was really wholesome getting Sting's sons involved. I like that kind of stuff. Wrestling is different from other sports because it sits on the intersection of sport and entertainment. You can get away with involving family members and utilizing family members and stuff like that as part of the story. Whereas, if wrestling was a legitimate sport, you couldn't just, if you're playing your last basketball game, you couldn't just have your sons play alongside you for the game. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. So this is an example of, how you can really get some warm fuzzies out of professional wrestling by just that little gesture of having his sons come out. Each represents kind of a different era. They're doing the stinger splashes. You know, each sun I popped for it because they each have their own pluses and minuses. Like the one that came out, the one that done. Let me get the one that came out dressed like the Surfer Sting with the like American flag jacket. He just looked like he was chiseled out of stone and could be a professional wrestler. Like it was like Sting from 1990 just walked out there. And the other son that was dressed as Wolfpack Sting didn't have the size, but he just did an amazing stinger splash, and it looked exactly like his dad with just the one leg kind of hanging back a little bit and just the leap on it. So I popped for that. I kind of popped that the son that was dressed like the Wolfpack Sting also had the eyes. His eyes looked exactly like Wolfpack Sting with the makeup. They did, so that was a nice touch. The match itself, absolutely nonsensical. I can only really give it a C-. I feel as though Sting himself knew what he wanted to do here, but I honestly don't think that the agenting and the booking and stuff backstage is up to snuff for something this complex. I agreed with you about Ric Flair. I feel as though if they hadn't have waited for as long before they hit that super kick, it would have had more impact. And they made up for that pop when they got Ricky because they hit that nice and quickly and Ricky sold it well. I have to say this begrudgingly. Like the Young Bucks are starting to begrudgingly get little pops out of me. They are. And I'll tell you why. It's not because I think that their matches are suddenly starting to get better. It's because they're finally doing little things with their characters that I've been wanting them to do for ages because it works and they're playing into it. Like, I'm sorry, but it simply is pop worthy that they're now Matthew and Nicholas and not Matt and Nick. Like, that's just funny.
Yeah.
The added syllables just make it funnier. The fact that the ring announcer was like, Matthew and Nicholas, the Bucks, like, that's funny. It popped me that they were wearing the matching outfits, but they were designed to look like really douchebaggy suits, but with the sleeves cut off. So that popped me. So no one can say that I'm just totally biased, because I will admit when things pop me. I like the fact that the Bucks didn't make this match all about them doing crazy shit. They did the right thing. They hung back. They were there to take the offense and to be in the right spot. And you know, the moments all went to Sting and Darby. I'll be real with you, man. The hardcore wrestling fan of me popped when he went through the pane of glass. Like when he set it up and he did it, I was like, well, now there's a clip that we can watch forever. As many, you know, that's a fucking nuts bump. One of many. I probably, it was probably unnecessary. I think if you're going to have Sting go through one, you at least have to have him go through it first. And again, I want to point out with that swanton off the ladder through the glass pane, that's another example of the production being annoying. Okay? We couldn't really see that Matthew pulled Nicholas off of the pane of glass until they replayed it afterwards. Whereas, you know, if you had just had a bit of a camera shot so you could see, he's diving and now it's been pulled out of the way. But because of the way they shot it, until they replayed it, it came off like it was just really stunty. But the bump itself in a vacuum, crazy. Darby took a number of hectic bumps. Once again, like I hope they never do Darby versus Ospreay because I just feel as though they're not going to have any limits on it, and it will be probably interesting for us as fans, but bad for them physically. My one criticism, if I have any about the match, was that I don't know, man. It's a toss up. Do you want to have Sting's final match be these hardcore kind of spot fest that he's been doing throughout his whole run, or do you want to put him and Darby in there against FTR or somebody like that, where they can do a little bit more in the ring and have it be more along the lines of what Sting was doing during his TNA run, where he wouldn't be necessarily wrestling on full tilt like he would back in his heyday, but he'd be kind of still working a pretty good match in the ring. I'm a little conflicted on that. I kind of wish that we'd seen a little bit more of him in the ring, maybe a little bit less plunder in terms of all the weapons and stuff. However, my symbolic hat needs to go off to Tony Khan. I feel like overall the booking of Sting since he's been in up to now has been the one thing that I think Tony Khan has never really messed up on. I think that he's done a good job. I want to point that out. I want to mention that. I think that the Sting finally got that run that I think none of us ever really knew what it should look like. Like when he was in TNA and then when he went to WWE, I think every long-term fan of Sting has kind of a nebulous idea in their head of what that perfect last run for Sting would look like. You know, this is what he should be doing in the ring. This is how you should be using him. This is how you cover up his age, etc. And nobody had really quite done it. I think AEW's come the closest to giving him that dream final run. I liked this match. You know, it wasn't. I honestly think that the tag team casket match at Wembley, that would have been the perfect retirement match. Like, people are going to dislike me for saying that, especially since I praised elements of this match. But this hindsight being 2020, that would have been the perfect match. However, this happened. It's done now. I thought that it was pretty good. I want to point out, though, before I finish up this review, as a final thought, it is, and let me just get a little bit closer to the camera here, just to emphasize it. It is supremely annoying. Supremely annoying that you have Sting retain the AEW tag team titles in his final match. And I understand you can't have him lose, but why'd you have him win the tag team titles in the first place? Because what have they done now that Sting's retired? They vacated the tag titles at the press conference and they've decided that a tournament will be held over the month of March to crown the tag team champions.
Why can't Darby just find another partner? Why would he give up the belt?
I would rather see Jon Moxley form a tag team with a clone of Jon Moxley and just watch them have 2 out of 3 falls hardcore tornado tag matches on repeat than I would want to see another AEW tournament.
That's enough with the tournaments, bro. It's enough with the tournaments.
There are 558 different things you could have done as opposed to a tournament in terms of what to do with the tag titles.
It's always a fucking tournament, bro. We just had a tournament.
And you announce it minutes after he's just won the match. Hang on, man. All right, now I'm thinking of more shit. So you're telling me, bro, that you can't get a number out of the upcoming episode of Dynamite by announcing what's going to happen with the tag titles then. You can't start a thing where Darby goes in search of a partner. You know, why the fuck can't Darby be like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to need a new partner. And he tries out a bunch of different partners, you know, over the coming month and none of them work. And then maybe PCO shows up at the next pay-per-view as his tag team partner or something cool like that. But instead, no, we have to do a tournament.
Just do something.
Someone said on Twitter right after the tournament was announced at the post-show scrum, and it popped me huge. I can't remember the username, but there was a clip of the tournament being announced, and the comment I saw underneath was, "I'm convinced that Tony booked Sting's last storyline this way just so he could get to the tournament." It was also he could announce another tournament.
He's just so keen on tournaments.
Just waiting for Sting to be out of the way so he can
so he could do a tournament. That's very good. Yeah, just at least do something. Give us a story coming out of it. Don't just fucking reset the whole thing.
Not even a period of time to speculate. It was just, no, we'll do a tournament. Yeah.
Christ. Okay, before we finish off here, Juicy Boy, I wanted to mention this to you, okay?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
these are the times that all these matches went, and I still don't think that some of these matches needed to go so long. Okay, the 12-man tag on the pre-show, 12 and a half minutes. Needed maybe 10.
Yeah.
The women's tag match, 13 minutes and 30 seconds. When I was watching, I was like, they're getting a lot of time here. This is going way too long.
Cut that down to 10 as well, really.
Yeah, cut that to 10. Christian versus Daniel Garcia, 16 minutes, 50 seconds. That's not too bad. It's a TNT title match. Yeah. Kingston Danielson, 19 minutes, 45.
Yeah. Could have shaved for, 3-4 minutes off of
Yeah,
that.
maybe, 16 minutes might be fine. The 8-man scramble, 15 minutes 45. Okay, it's 8 guys. Maybe it'd take that long to get a winner.
Well, I mean, it should have just been 0 minutes because it just
should have been on the
Yeah.
show in the first place. Blackpool Combat Club versus FTR, 21 minutes and 50 seconds. Nope, did not need to go that long.
Holy fuck, man! Why does it always seem as though Jon Moxley's match just gets an extra 7 minutes scribbled in on what it would have been? Like, he's one of the people I wanted to see the least. Like, I wanted his match to be finished so that we could get to the rest of it.
Yeah. Tony Storm and Deonna, only 12 minutes and 15 seconds. That's okay.
You can't give them 15.
Yeah, give them 15.
You have to give Moxley and his Wild Thing entrance that no one gives a shit about. That's got to have 20. But your Women's World Championship match with your newly signed Virtuosa, because that's what she is.
Yep.
And you can't give him,
it's an extra 3 minutes. Will Ospreay and Takeshita, 22 minutes flat. Bit long.
Yeah.
World title match, 19 minutes, 40 seconds. Okay, it's a world title match.
That's a little bit too long for me because the show was getting long in
it was 19 minutes and 40 seconds too much of Hangman Page. But yes, you get to that point of the show, you just want to see the Sting match already. It's like, here comes another match. And anyway, the main event, of course, 21 minutes, 3 seconds. Okay, it's Sting's final match. Cool.
Yeah, I don't understand why Jon Moxley's match needed to have nearly as much time as the main event, even though. I mean, to be honest though, like FTR are a treat to watch in the ring, so it's like you want to see them get some time, but unfortunately, because of the reasons I outlined, I felt as though Moxley's not the right opponent for them at this point in time. I'll say that.
I was actually thinking, and I know the review's supposed to be over with, but I was actually thinking of, in regards to FTR, like, what else is there for them to achieve there? Who else is there for them to work with?
Oh,
are they bored? Where do they go from here? What do you do with them?
In terms of AEW, I could see them having a good tag team match against like Copeland and Christian. I could see them having a good match against maybe Takeshita and, like a partner of his. There's a couple of options. However, I think their much bigger upside, bro, would be in the WWE. Right off the bat, man, imagine FTR versus Dirty Dom Mysterio and Finn Balor. FTR versus Authors of Pain again, because they've had good matches in the past. FTR versus the Wolf Dogs from NXT, bro.
Imperium.
You're telling me, Imperium, that's right. You're telling me that those wouldn't be exciting matches? FTR versus Cody and main event Jay. Like, there's so many things you could do in terms of that. FTR versus Kevin and Sammy.
Yeah. Some good matches there. So,
just spitballing, but yeah, you are kind of right. It does feel like they've done everything that they can do.
If it were me, I'd be like, can we do something else here? Because it just seemed like this thing with Blackpool Combat Club was, a little out of left field. But anyway, geez.
Yeah.
Very good review, bro. Appreciate your time. And we're going to be doing another AEW review soon because I believe they have a pay-per-view announced for next month. called Dynasty.
Really?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
So thank you very much, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
And thank all of you out there for joining us here on the Slam Society. I'm California. This is Juicy Boy. And we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Slamming, yeah.
Yeah, the Slam Society. Yeah, dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, jamming,
dig it.
slamming, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, bro.